What is up, guys? What is up? So, we got some news about Greenland, World Economic Forum, Donald Trump, that I'm going to cover today. And I'm also going to do a double feature, and we're going to talk about Nick Shirley testifying in front of Congress. But yeah, we're going to get into it real quick here. So, boom. So, Donald Trump, big news today. Posted this on Truth Social. He is stunning the world on this one. He says, based upon a very productive meeting that I had with the Secretary General of NATO, Mark Rutte, we had formed the framework of a future deal with respect to Greenland and, in fact, the entire Arctic region. So this is pretty crazy. This solution, if consummated, will be a great one for the United States of America and all NATO nations. Based upon this understanding, I will not be imposing the tariffs that were scheduled to go into effect on February 1st, which pumped the market. Additional discussions are being held concerning the Golden Dome as it pertains to Greenland. The Golden Dome, that sounds crazy. Further information will be made available as discussing progress. Vice President J.D. Vance, Secretary of State Marco Rubio, Special Envoy Steve Witkoff, and various others as needed will be responsible for the negotiations. They will report directly to me. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Donald J. Trump, President of the United States. This is crazy. I mean, there's a lot to unpack here. First of all, he took the tariffs off that he put in yesterday, which was pretty crazy because yesterday we saw a huge crypto crash, huge stock market crash, and then everything kind of recovered today. But it's crazy that the President of the United States could just say, I'm going to implement a tariff and just wipe out trillions of dollars in the stock market. And then the next day he could say, oh, I changed my mind, and boom, pump it right back up. So the United States investors are definitely in a roller coaster ride of emotions since Trump has been president. But let's keep going here. And looks like Fox News reported this yesterday. Cold-shouldered thousands rally in Greenland's capital city, chanting Greenland is not for sale as President doubles down on the U.S. initiative to acquire the country. The protest is reportedly the biggest demonstration in the nation's history. Let's look at this. This is kind of crazy. Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen a president who's had more people go on the street and protest. This is just so crazy. I don't know why Greenland wouldn't want it other than the optics of it, because I mean, I think Greenland being a part of the United States kind of helps them. It makes them a richer country. It, it might be good for them. But let's see what Trump had to say at the Davos.
We saw this in World War II when Denmark fell to Germany after just 6 hours of fighting and was totally unable to defend either itself or Greenland. So the United States was then compelled, we did it, we felt an obligation to do it, to send our own forces to hold the Greenland territory. And hold it we did at great cost and expense. They didn't have a chance of getting on it, and they tried. Denmark knows that. We literally set up bases on Greenland for Denmark. We fought for Denmark. We weren't fighting for anyone else. We were fighting to save it for Denmark. Big, beautiful piece of ice. It's hard to call it land. It's a big piece of ice. But we saved Greenland and successfully prevented our enemies from gaining a foothold in our hemisphere. So we did it for ourselves also. And then after the war, which we won it big. Without us, right now you'd all be speaking German and a little Japanese, perhaps. After the war, we gave Greenland back to Denmark. How stupid were we to do that? But we did it. But we gave it back. But how ungrateful are they now?
Damn. That is so crazy. I mean, just the fact that, I mean, I get it. I get taking Greenland and justifying it with World War II, but it is a very risky thing. And this is why I say it's risky, because this was yesterday's stock market, right? This was a bloodbath. I mean, red. $1.3 trillion wiped out from the U.S. stock market. And this is just from him talking about, you know, he was going to implement that tariff, and the market reacted instantaneously to his words. So this was just yesterday, but then
we saw this in World War II.
Right when he announced that he was going to take the tariff off, U.S. stock market has added over $850 billion. So yeah, I mean, the market had a recovery. I mean, it didn't recover all the way, but I mean, this is the risky thing about these moves, is like, you're gambling with the U.S. investors when you make these negotiating calls. And I understand the strategic element of getting Greenland, for it being for the minerals, for the national security, for the trade. Like, I understand that. But in order to make these moves, one has to take into account, okay, if you're liquidating the stock market so much, or, you know, it's the economy is not doing well, and you lose in the midterms and you lose in the election, then the American people aren't going to benefit from the Greenland deal if the deal actually happens. Because right now the deal says they don't even really have a deal. They said they're working, what did he say? Trying to see exactly what he said. Yeah. We have formed the framework. So we don't know what's going to come out of this yet. We don't know if we're going to see another red day, another green day, another red day, another green day. So we'll see. You know, I'm going to try and stay optimistic and hope that this Greenland deal goes pretty smooth and it becomes beneficial to the United States. But it is just a really interesting, like, imperial vision. And a lot of people that are America first don't like that. But here is, they're talking about the Golden Dome, which is like a bigger version, I think, of Israel's Iron Dome. And this would be like the strategicness of it, all right? You got Greenland right here. You got you got Russia and you know, China basically as good defense with this. And if it ever came down to a serious war, which I don't think Russia would ever attack the United States or anything, but this just makes us more powerful as a nation, having control of Greenland. So I understand the strategic elements, but doesn't this look like he's playing Civilization? Like, it looks like he's playing a video game. And I know the older people in my audience probably don't know what Civilization is. Civilization is a computer game where you basically look at a giant map from a bird's eye view, and you compete with other players on taking over the world, expanding territory, using strategicness. And, you know, as time progresses in the game, you know, the civilization advances from like cavemen to like future civilization. So it feels very like imperialist, you know, and I know a lot of people don't want to hear it, but that's just the reality of the situation. And this guy kind of breaks down kind of the...
Here's why Donald Trump wants Greenland in maps. On some two-dimensional maps, Greenland looks huge, but on a globe it's nowhere near as large. It has just 57,000 inhabitants, and it's mostly covered in ice. But look at where it is, right between the US and Russia. As the polar ice melts, crucial new shipping routes are opening up. That's one reason why Trump says Greenland is so important for US national security. The Arctic island is also thought to have significant offshore oil and gas.
And that's kind of similar to the Venezuela whole argument, the oil, the gas, the minerals.
And critical elements the US needs, like rare earths. Although some think its potential reserves have been overhyped. Trump critics say his Greenland fixation is about picking up new real estate, a brazen expression of U.S. expansionism, harking back to when great powers carved up the world. Trump has already attacked Venezuela. After doing so, he made hostile remarks targeting Colombia, Cuba, and Mexico, too. Greenland is an autonomous territory of Denmark like the Faroe Islands. But Trump has questioned Denmark's ability to ensure its security. He's floated the idea of buying the territory, and he hasn't ruled out using military force. Meanwhile, the wife of Trump's
I
Homeland
think this is an older video. I don't think he's going to use military force now.
Security advisor posted this. So what about NATO? The US is a member of the Transatlantic Alliance, and so is Denmark. So a US land grab would cause a rift. Denmark's leader warned it could spell the end of NATO. But hang on, does America actually need to annex Greenland? The US already has the territory's sole military base. Some local leaders say they'd welcome more mining projects. Another idea being floated is an arrangement where Greenland would gain formal independence from Denmark, but hand the US responsibility for its defense. 3 Pacific nations have compacts like this. Whatever happens next, it's clear Trump wants to redraw the map.
This is so crazy, guys. This is so insane. I don't know if you guys realize we have not seen a president do this. We have not seen a president of the United States expand this much. And he's not like doing it like Vladimir Putin's trying to do it. So like I've said in my other videos, like if he's being peaceful, if he's making good deals, if it benefits the United States, then yeah, I'm for it. But there comes a cost, and this is the biggest cost to Trump's foreign policy is the markets, right? So since Donald Trump has been president, if you look, I have the selection here for 1 year, a full year, not year to date, but this is since January 21st, right? Over here. This is January 21st, 2025. And we're here at 89,000. And today, 2026, and Bitcoin is down 15%. You can see right there. Now, it gets worse if you've been holding altcoins, right? Now, Ethereum has surprisingly performed a little better at only down 9% a year. But Solana, 47%. Solana holders, since Donald Trump has been president, their portfolios sliced in half. That is brutal for the American people. If we go over here, Cardano, 63% down. That is more than half, right? If we go over here to Sui, 67%. All the Sui holders are just decimated, right? And then the worst of all, which is the Trump coin, which was actually kind of a scam, down 88%, almost 90%. What happened to all that money from the Trump coin? Who sold the top, right? Did Donald Trump make millions and millions of dollars from the Trump coin? And it's down 88%. Anybody who bought Trump when Trump took office got screwed. You know, these are not good. I mean, you have millions of, cryptocurrency holders in the United States that, voted for Trump because of the crypto stuff, right? If you're part of the crypto space, that was a big, catalyst for voting for Trump was, you wanted your bags to pump. And, 2024, that year going into 2025, that was the bull run of the 4-year cycle, and it never happened, obviously. And one can argue like the crypto was at its peak when Joe Biden was president, which is so weird to say. Now there's a silver lining. Of course. If we look at the S&P and the NASDAQ, right, the stocks have been good, right? In a year, the S&P is up 13.66%. The NASDAQ is up 17%. So that is the silver lining. And more people hold stocks, right? But if things escalate, if the trade with Greenland doesn't go through right, that could be really dangerous. And it could take that 17% all the way down to, 2 years into Trump's presidency, you might be down, 50%. 20%, things can shift. Everything is based on what the United States does because the United States is a superpower, right? all the economists, all the money makers, all the freaking big whales, right? The big institutions, the BlackRocks, the JP Morgan and Chases, they have people or computer systems that are micro fixating on Trump's tweets, or I should say Trump's Truth Social post. They're watching everything his administration says. I mean, they are paying attention to his words to a T. And anything that Trump says could change the market drastically. We have not seen a president, at least in my lifetime, who his words, whether he says something just a tiny bit off, can dictate trillions of dollars in losses for the American investor. It is very, very sketchy territory, but we'll see what happens with the Greenland stuff. I also want to get into this just real quick, just an update on the Nick Shirley situation. So Nick Shirley testified in front of Congress today. And I just want you guys to listen to this. This is
Mr. Shirley, your statement. Mr. Shirley, you're recognized for your opening statement.
Awesome. I'm here today to speak on behalf of all hardworking, law-abiding, tax-paying citizens here inside of the United States. I've helped bring to light widespread fraud that's happening inside our nation, and we the people have had enough of our hard-earned money going towards fraudsters as if it's no big deal. As I speak here, I want to ask everyone a question. How much do we trust when we pay our taxes it's going to benefit our nation? People erupted during the Boston Tea Party over just a few percentages as they believe they were being taxed without representation. Nowadays, we have the representation, but do we trust our representatives? My name is Nick Shirley, and I made a 41-minute video that I posted on platforms like X and YouTube. My video received over 100 million views, and it created instant change within our government. As the federal government launched investigations in departments such as Health and Human Services froze over $185 million in childcare funding until businesses can prove they are legitimate businesses. I actually became aware of the fraud that was happening in Minnesota in June of 2025 as I was there for a separate video, and Minnesotans started reaching out to me, asking me if I was making a video on the fraud. I said, well, what fraud? And this lady, she was a real estate agent, and she says, well, I'm having a hard time selling my properties because people are curious about these assisted livings that are popping up next door to some of the houses that we're buying, or the home health care clinics that are popping up, and we don't know who's next to these houses that we're trying to sell. And I said, well, I'm not going to come and make a video if I don't have any proof. So therefore, I left Minnesota, and I continued to look for fraud in the best way I could. And as I was getting my own information, a man by the name of David reached out to me, and he said, hey, I have been investigating this fraud for years now. I have been driving by these child care centers. I have never seen a single child, and I have received the information from the state of Minnesota as to how much money these places are receiving. I said, great, let me come to Minnesota and we'll make this video about potential fraud that was taking place inside of Minnesota. We go to a daycare, and I'm instantly surprised by what we see. We arrived, and it was an industrialized building, and there was 2 daycares registered at that building. And the first thing I noticed is all the windows are blacked out, and there's no footprints in the snow of any children. There's no playgrounds or anything that would make it look like it's a child care. But above me, a sign read, open 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. But there was nobody there. The doorbell did not even work. And then we continued to go to other daycares, and we noticed the same pattern. No children, blacked out windows, and one daycare, a learning center, spelled Quality Learning Center instead of Quality Learning Center. They had received $1.9 million, yet with that $1.9 million, they could not even spell Leering right on their sign. Governor Walz has said he's been fighting fraud in Minnesota since 2019 and said the buck stops with him. However, how long would it take for you to notice $1 million leaving your bank account and not knowing where it's going? That's essentially what had been happening in Minnesota for years, as billions of dollars had been misplaced. And meanwhile, while people like Governor Tim Walz call people like me a white supremacist, delusional conspiracy theorist, he actually decided to drop out of re-election because I believe, of how deep and extensive this fraud is. Thank you very much. Since my reporting, the HHS department froze over $185 million, and to this day, not a single business has been able to prove proof of legitimacy. How fast would you be proving that you are a legitimate business if you have children to actually feed and to take care of? You'd be sending in that paperwork instantly. I made this video to document the widespread fraud that has been taking place, as I truly believe all fraud is bad. And people like me, my generation, we're sick of seeing tax dollars go towards fraud. We just want to have the same opportunities that our fathers and our grandparents had. And when you see people making millions of dollars by committing fraud, it upsets everybody from all age demographics. And so I hope today we can have a good conversation, and I think we can all agree that fraud is bad and that fraud is fraud. And I wish the best for our country, and I think that's what needs to be happening, is to crack down on all forms of fraud. So thank you for having me, and God bless the USA.
Mr.
Man, Nick. It is just so insane to me that it takes a 20-something-year-old kid to go to Minnesota with his camera and a mic, and it takes that to expose fraud in our country. It does. The politicians, man, like, it's just like, I might have said this in an older video, it's like an old 80s movie where the kids get together and they save the day because the adults are just too incompetent. Like, or it's like an episode of South Park. What happens in South Park? The kids end up saving the day. And it's like Nick Shirley's like the young man that is saving the day. And I just hope to God that his life is protected, because these liberals will do anything. They'll, you know, so I just hope nothing bad happens to Nick Shirley, knock on wood. No one tries to kill him. But let's listen to this last clip and react to it.
Correct.
What makes you think that?
Well, now you're seeing. Correct.
What makes you think that?
Well, now you're seeing, since I've posted that video, lots of other people have started to go to other locations, for instance, in Ohio or in Maine or in California. They're also seeing the similar fraud take place in other daycares, for instance, in a lot of other locations.
Yeah, I have a particular interest in California, being from that state, and we know that there's been a lot of fraud. There was $32.6 billion that's been confirmed in unemployment insurance fraud. There's 1.2 million fraudulent community college applications. Have you gotten any sense, or have you seen any signs there that sort of are similar to what aroused your suspicions in Minnesota?
Yeah, and fraud in California might be worse than the fraud in Minnesota.
What makes you say that?
Well, $24 billion went missing for homelessness.
California's next on the videos. Get ready. Nick Shirley's going to Cali.
They've been trying to build this train for years, yet there's hardly anything to prove for that. Fires.
Yeah, those are good points. So you look at let's run through a couple of those. Because I mentioned the areas where we have confirmed fraud, but then you also have these areas where you have so much spending, and then we look at what results from that spending, and there's nothing. So $24 billion in homelessness, and yet the homeless population went up, and a state audit found that they couldn't even figure out where the money went or what the outcomes linked to that spending were. Is that something that is kind of a red flag for you?
Yeah, it's a major red flag, and you don't even have to be smart to be able to know that that's a red flag.
Well, unfortunately, our state legislators haven't managed to figure that out, or at least the governor hasn't. So what are you saying about him?
They're not smart. No, but yeah, I mean, it's so obvious, and that's what we saw in Minnesota, is how complicit the government has been in enabling this fraud to happen. Quality Learning Center had over 90 violations, yet they continue to give that daycare $1.9 million. Correct.
Yeah. They say that Tim Walz is investigating fraud since 2018, but Nick Shirley caught it in 2026. I mean, holy shit. And, you know, Gavin Newsom, this guy's next to get exposed. And if Nick Shirley exposes him so bad in California, I do not think that Gavin Newsom will run for president. See, as it stands right now, I think Gavin Newsom has a good chance to have a competitive election with J.D. Vance. I don't know if he'll win or not, but, you know, Gavin Newsom is a sleazy politician, and he's a better politician than Kamala Harris was. That being said, if Nick Shirley goes in California and investigates the fraud, Gavin Newsom is toast. But listen to what he has to say about the church that got raided in Minneapolis. Listen to this.
Continue. We're going to expand our buses in the country. Yeah, very soon.
It's amazing.
Yes.
It's a remarkable success.
Governor Newsom,
We
really,
need a leader like you.
Isaac, it's fine, dude. I'm not. Governor Newsom, you remember, I'm friends with Charlie. I was friends, obviously, as you know. I always appreciate your interview. Quick question: you mentioned Minneapolis. Any comment on this Don Lemon charging those guys into the church like that?
I literally. It's funny. Someone mentioned Don Lemon and Trump the other day, and so I have no idea what that's about.
Big viral story. He had a bunch of agitators. They ran into some kind of church. Don Lemon.
Into a church?
Yes.
Even focus on this.
No, it's not even at this focus. Literally don't know anything about it.
Okay.
Thank you. Thanks, man.
Great.
That is his way of getting out of talking about it, because there is no way in hell that he did not hear about the Don Lemon church Minneapolis story, because that was like #1 trending for like 2 days straight, from Sunday all the way into like Monday or Tuesday. Like, this guy's a piece of S. But anyway, that's all I got for you guys today. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and share on my YouTube channel at Townsley R, and also hit the bell for notifications. And also on X, follow me at Ryan Townsley. That's RyanTownslay. And this is Townsley R signing out. Bye-bye.